intended to do this very quickly, but I found that the content required more than simply a 90-second reel to kind of unpack a little bit, right? And to kind of dive into. And so the question becomes, who is the greatest proponent or agent of white supremacy? Who's the biggest in 2023 in our reality today? Who is the biggest proponent or agent of white supremacy? Is it white folk? Is it white people? Well, to be perfectly honest, white supremacy was an enterprise that was produced 400 years ago. The methodology, the logic behind this enterprise was produced many, many years ago, right? And it was meticulously planned out, it was meticulously thought out, and it was baked into everything, right? And what was the goal? To enrich white people, right? And to keep them at the top slot, right? Making decisions and determinations for everybody else. Okay. So, but the way that it worked and the way that it was designed was such that the offspring of those original architects would be hands free. They would have clean hands. They didn't have to do anything anymore. What was initially done to launch this enterprise was enough to carry it through so that the children and their children's children could say, well, I never owned a slave, or I never did anything to anyone, right? And they could develop these great lofty morals, right? And they could speak to the higher principles and the higher attributes because, again, just as was explained, they didn't do it, right? And they will fall back on that most regularly. Well, I didn't do it. I don't feel like those things were right, but those were done. That's history, right? So the intelligence or the logic was to leave their children blameless while a system persisted, right? So I revisit the question, and I'm not going to take a lot of time here. I just felt it took more than a 90-second reel to unpack. So, are white people the biggest agents or proponents of white supremacy? The answer is no. In fact, most of them would deny that it is as impactful in the lives of others as anyone else, right? And so the answer to that is no. White people are not the biggest agents or proponents of white supremacy. They're simply going along for the ride. They didn't do this, right? The ones that you see alive didn't do it. They benefit from it. It serves them. It serves their children. But they didn't have to do anything. No hand is on the switch. They don't have to control the switch any longer. It was already done. What about Hispanic people or immigrants that are coming to this country? Are they the biggest proponents of white supremacy? No. They're duped. They don't know any better. White supremacy built a system, right? And placed white people at the very top of that system. And every immigrant that comes into America has an unspoken choice. You either want to live among us or you want to live among them. And they look at who's living better. They're looking at the opportunities that they have, the educational opportunities, the wealth gap. They look at all of these different things and they make a logical conclusion. No, I don't want to live around them that don't have anything. I want to live around those that have something, right? So by default, those various immigrants that come into America, they come with tears in their eyes because they've been allowed to come in. They come excited and grateful, right? This is very similar to how the Lithuanians, the Hungarians, the Eastern Europeans, the Dutch, all of these people that came in, they came in with tears in their eyes to share in the opportunity that was produced by way of white supremacy, each and every one of these groups. And they swore a blind allegiance for the opportunity that had been produced for them, right? So, are they upholding white supremacy? Are they the biggest agents or proponents? No, they're opportunists. They are hoping for the very crumbs to fall off the table that have served as shackles to us. Think about this. The very things that served as shackles to us is what they're hoping for. Okay? And white supremacy it's a brilliant system because what they used whips and chains to do to us, they don't have to use for the various immigrant groups that are coming in. All they have to do is promise them the same things that were forced on us, right? This white supremacy says, I will control in a central manner your food, clothing, shelter, water, healthcare, security, sanitation, education, and utilities. You don't have to worry about that. We got that, right? We built that, all right? All you've got to do is just come in and work. Give us your create a social security number, pay taxes, pay into the system, and you will be able to take advantage of these things that white supremacy has produced. And every people in the world are coming for this opportunity. Okay? So I want to step back. If white people are not the biggest agents and the proponents of white supremacy, if the immigrants that are coming in are not the biggest agents and proponents of white supremacy, who is? Who is the biggest agent and proponent of white supremacy? The answer is those who have the largest amount to lose if it fails. Those are the biggest agents. Those who are inexorably tied to the success or failure of white supremacy are the stakeholders, right? You got a shareholder, you got a stakeholder. The stakeholder is the one that has the most to lose if the enterprise fails. Who has the most to lose in this society? Who has the most to lose if white supremacy should fail? It is those who are 100% dependent upon it for their food, clothing, shelter, water, healthcare, security, sanitation, education, utilities, and economy. Those will be your biggest agents and proponents because if it fails, they die. Right? If it fails, then they die. So no one else, for everyone else, this is an option, right? People coming from El Salvador, they can leave, right? They can come in, they can make their money, and they leave, and that's what they do. All of these other immigrant groups have the ability to come in and go if they don't like it. They are not inexorably tied to the success or failure of white supremacy. Who is? If white supremacy should fail, what will white people do? They will adapt. They'll find some other means, right? And the truth is that as long as they have all of the immigrant groups that are coming in and subscribing to this system in order to gain the benefit that it provides, white supremacy's got solvency, right? They got a new nigga, is what they did, right? And so who is most adversely affected by the failure of white supremacy? Those who are tied to its success or failure. They are. What does that mean? That means we, who are completely dependent upon this system for everything that keeps us alive, for all of our essential needs, we serve as the biggest agents and proponents of white supremacies because if it should fail, we will die. Our children will die. Our future is over, right? Based on where we are today. And these are the things that I speak to. These elements are why I spend my time addressing my people, to get you to think critically. How do you solve this problem? I hear people with, we got this rinse and repeat. And I'm not downing or supporting or, waving this meme-based philosophy flag, right? I don't do all of that, right? I don't join a group in order to make myself more relevant, right? I don't do that. So you hear people say we need unity. Great. What's step one? Right? You hear people say we've got to fight back. Awesome. Okay. What's step one? You hear these rinse and repeat philosophies. Everybody can agree with it, right? Everybody. Somebody says we need unity, and everybody says, "Yeah, you're right. We need unity." Right? Somebody needs to say we need to fight back. Yeah, we need to fight back. We need reparations. We these really quick, easily repeated, easily agreed upon rinse and repeat mantras. But what's step one? Right? What can you do? Right? And as long as there is no actual plan, just the rinse and repeat mantra, we go nowhere, right? Until somebody thinks critically enough to be able to say, okay, put all the buzzwords to the side, here's what we need to do, we'll go nowhere, right? We'll just keep repeating and rinsing and repeating and going through that bullshit, right? All these little groups and I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other thing, they're taking names and all the rest of that. That shit ain't doing nothing, right? What must happen in order to remove ourselves from this dynamic, the fight that must occur in order to change this dynamic for ourselves is to fight ourselves. It's to fight the inclination to those rinse and repeat mantras. It's to fight dependency. Your primary enemy is dependency. For if another man controls your food, clothing, shelter, water, then if that man fails, you die, right? If you take no hand in producing your own essential needs, food, clothing, shelter, water, if you take no hand in doing that, and another man controls those entirely, if he fails, you die, right? So your attack vector is your essential needs. It's responsibility. Responsible for your own life. Responsible for your own solvency into tomorrow and into the next year. That is your attack vector. Not the we need unity, we need reparations, we need to fight back, we need all of these buzzwords. These don't solve the problem, right? These exacerbate the problem because everybody hears it, everybody agrees, but nobody has a direction. You walk away, everybody feels good, we all said the same words, we all agree with the same words, but you walk away and you have no direction. You have no attack vector. There is nothing that you, your family, your children, everyone can orient themselves towards and do in order to solve the problem, right? The true answer is to eliminate dependency on another man. So you don't get mad at that man. He's the one that's providing your water. He's the one that's providing your food. He's the one providing your economy. He's the one providing your shelter. You don't get mad at that man. If you got a problem with that man, then you do it your damn self. That's your answer, right? So to step back, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna take a lot of time. To step back and readdress my initial question: who is the biggest proponent of white supremacy? Who is the biggest agent of white supremacy? The biggest agent, the biggest proponent is those that have the most to lose if it should fail. That means us as black people. We are the biggest agents and proponents of white supremacy because if it fails, our mortality is tied to it. You understand? So again, there's a solution. There is an action item. There is something that each and every single one of you can do. There is something that each and every one of your children can be oriented to. There is something that every single one of us can do. And that is to begin to eliminate dependency upon another people. I don't care what those people look like. I don't care where those people are. If they are Chinese, if they are Russian, if they are African, if they are El Salvadorian. I don't care who they are. Whoever the man is that controls your food, clothing, shelter, and water is your master. So the answer, the one thing that each and every single one of us can do is to begin to eliminate our dependency. Grow your own food. It's a revolutionary act. Learn to filter and control your own water. It's a revolutionary act. Learn to build and maintain your own shelter. It's a revolutionary act. Learn to produce your own clothing, your own needs. These are revolutionary acts. John Henrik Clarke said, "We should not wear underwear if we do not produce them for ourselves." This is our answer. This is our primary attack vector. Short of that, then what you are doing is you are counting on white supremacy to be solvent so that whatever it is that you plan can come to being, right? You plan to go to school, get an education, get a good job, get into politics. You're assuming that white supremacy is going to stand tomorrow. You're assuming that white people cannot possibly fail and this endeavor could not possibly crash. You're assuming that they're going to continually be able to provide your water into the future so that your plans can come true. You're assuming that their system is going to remain solvent so that you can get an education, so that you can do whatever it is that you plan to do. If your plans are predicated on depending on another man, if your plans are predicated on depending on the system of white supremacy, then you become its biggest agent and proponent. Does this make sense? Any questions, any disagreements? I'm happy to elucidate. I'm happy to illustrate any of the points that I'm speaking to. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. What I'm doing is I'm presenting those things that are very clear and simply absent from the current conversation. We're not speaking of these things. We want to feel good. We want somebody to placate us with comfortable lies versus the uncomfortable truth. But the uncomfortable truth is that the person who is the biggest agent and the biggest proponent of white supremacy is the one that has the most to lose. It's the stakeholder, not the shareholder, the stakeholder. Because if it fails, your families die. If it fails and you're dependent upon it, then everything, all of your dreams, all of your wishes, your goals, your plans fail with it. So you are inadvertently made the biggest proponent of it. Make sense? Again, you got any questions, you know who I am. Reach out, holler at me. I'll make it clearer if I possibly can. Right? Health and wellness on your house. Peace, prosperity in your life.